morning, Patriots. How y'all doing? Can we talk about China, Joe Biden? I think I will. So we've touched on it a couple times, but I can't stress enough the importance of recognizing the dangers of China continuing to increase their presence on the world stage. I believe that the whole Russia hoax and the Democrats in the United States trying to pin all this fake stuff on Russia, I think part of that was a smokescreen to get everybody's attention off of the moves China was making. Luckily, Trump and his team had their eye on the ball. And Trump's been talking about China for a long time. Taking our jobs and free trade and all that stuff. So the Democrats create this smokescreen and tell you that the boogeyman is Russia. I'm not on Team Russia, but I don't think they're the biggest, threat right now to the United States, not by a long shot. That the authoritarian regime that they've got over there, that's bad news. And if the United Nations wants that for the rest of the world, it's going to be up to the United States to push back on that. And what's going to happen if we have a president, Joe Biden, who is compromised by China and is on Team China? Their state-sponsored capitalism, their economy over there. Basically, any company that is independent and starts getting big enough, the Chinese Communist Party swoops in and says, okay, you're getting too big, you have too much influence, we're in charge now. And there's nothing you can do about it. Look at what China's done to us in the last couple years. They sent us COVID, first of all. They've bought plenty of politicians, the Feinsteins, the Bidens. I haven't seen too much evidence pointing to Pelosi, but I'm sure it's there. Chuck Schumer. It's looking like they had a hand in rigging this presidential election. And we can't hold them accountable. We can tariff their stuff and we can sanction them. I really thought we were going to be able to convince North Korea to get on our side with this China thing, but the only reason North Korea exists basically is because of their relationship with China. So Trump signed an executive order yesterday, it's taking effect in 2021, that will make it illegal for any investment firms in the United States to invest money in any company internationally that has any business with the Chinese military. So if you got any mutual funds out there, you might want to get with your broker and see if you're invested in any of those companies. You got a year to get out of them. And that's good. It's a step in the right direction. But I'm sure if Joe Biden is allowed to step foot in the White House, he'll get rid of that immediately. So, moving off China here, Justice Alito was giving a speech at the Federalist Society yesterday, and he was touching on something I found very interesting, that COVID has basically given local, state, federal governments a free pass to totally infringe on your religious freedoms. Now, this is a lot like 9/11 in the Patriot Act. The government has been given a free pass because they scared everyone to get more and more involved in our life. And here's the problem. Once they overreach, they never back off. Any of these policies that get implemented because of a time of crisis, when that crisis is over, they don't go back in and say, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. They continue to do it. And I was disappointed that Trump signed not only a Patriot Act, an enhanced Patriot Act. I was really disappointed in that. So, speaking of Trump, yesterday it gets released that senior Pentagon officials have been lying to Trump and the Trump team about the troop levels in Syria. Trump wants out of there. He wants to get out of there. So you have Pentagon military officials lying to the president, the commander-in-chief, about troop levels. Now, that should be treason right there. How is Trump supposed to develop strategy for the military if he doesn't even know what's going on? That's unbelievable. Those guys should be fired immediately. So, Zeke Emanuel, the brother of Rahm Emanuel, if Biden is able to get in the White House, is going to be Biden's COVID czar or his advisor. Yeah, we're back to having czars everywhere if Biden gets in. Zeke Emanuel was the architect of Obamacare. And he said, word for word, that Obamacare was designed to fail. It was a hoodwink for the American people so they could get single payer, government-run health care. And he's been running around the last 3 or 4 years complaining that the Republicans won't work with the Democrats on trying to fix Obamacare. And the Republicans are going, well, why would we do that? We didn't want it in the first place. It was terrible to begin with. Why would we help you fix it? So good on them to, the Republicans pushing back on that. But if this Zeke Emanuel is in charge of anything, it's going to be a total failure. It came out yesterday that he wrote an opinion piece a few years back about how living past 75 years old is a hindrance to society, that you're not contributing anything. So if you plan for retirement and you live a nice life and you're expecting to live a long, healthy life, you take care of your health and your finances and you're set up for your golden years, this guy thinks you should be dead. Isn't that unbelievable? And he'll be in the cabinet of a 78-year-old senile man in Joe Biden. The American people should be pushing back on this in a big way. But like we said yesterday, we can't push back anymore. We showed our hand with the COVID overreach, closing the churches, closing the schools. Now they're trying to tell you not to have Thanksgiving. Anybody that listens to that is an idiot. If you're watching this video and you are canceling or amending your Thanksgiving plans because the government told you to, you don't need to be on my channel. Sorry. So now, if you're a patriot, if you respect the founding fathers, if you respect the founding principles of this country, you are labeled a far-right extremist. If you enjoy the sovereignty of the United States, if you enjoy your personal liberties and freedoms to basically do whatever you want as long as you're not harming anyone, we're far-right extremists now. We have become the marginalized because we value the principles this country was founded on. How did we get here so quickly? It just amazes me. So it's important that the smallest sign of government overreach, you need to push back on immediately. I don't care what the excuse is. COVID, terrorism, you name it. If the government tries to tell you something that infringes your rights, you need to say no immediately. So the buck stops as soon as they start. Not, oh, we'll give an inch because of this. Just don't do it. So the Georgia recount of the votes started yesterday. And of course it was a complete mess. They have teams of people that count. So the Republican watchers that were watching the recount, there was one person watching for every 10 teams of vote counters. You can't monitor that at all. And also, they're not auditing these ballots. They're just recounting the same fraudulent ones that should be disqualified because of a signature match, or we can't even see the postage anymore because they're out of the envelopes. So it's not looking good in Georgia. Of course, this Dominion software just keeps getting juicier and juicier. Sidney Powell came out last night, and she seems really confident there's a ton of evidence that this was intentionally rigged, that the Democrats were in on it, The Chinese Communist Party was in on it. Apparently, this Dominion software sent your vote to Spain and Germany via this computer software, and then back to the United States. So what happened in Spain and in Germany, where there was supposedly no American oversight of our votes? What happened over there? Papadopoulos tweeted yesterday that the United States Army did a raid on Dominion's offices in Frankfurt, Germany, and supposedly seized a bunch of these servers. We'll see if they can get a forensic analysis on it. But it's so corrupt. They need to just recount or revote the entire country and get a fair vote, in-person vote, the entire country, the military, put the military in charge of it, and go from there. That's not going to happen, but it should. Anyhow, we'll see what happens later today in the news. Just like I said before, the news is moving so quickly, it's hard to figure out what exactly is the most important pieces we should be touching on here. If you have any stuff you want me to dig into, I'd be more than happy to do it. It's fascinating to me. So put it in the comments below, and I'll look into it and try to summarize it for y'all. Thanks.